I 40M can't use the paper shredder at work because my 6767F co-worker says paper doesn't belong in the paper shredder. I work in the office with a very mean old lady. She is so old she survived the Black Plague, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, and the opening ceremony of the Great Wall of China. Anyways, I get a lot of junky papers on my desk, and over time I shred those papers. My very old co-worker says paper doesn't belong in a paper shredder because paper would break the shredder. Paper. Every time she leaves the office I use the shredder for my shredding needs. It's just so satisfying to watch paper become shredded into tiny pieces. Today was the day I finally broke the shredder. I can't believe it. The old lady was right. I didn't even overstuff it or anything. But turns out paper does break the shredder. I tried everything to fix it. Clean it, unplug and plug it back in. Nothing. She is going to kill me tomorrow morning. Help me. Anyone have any advice, or know of any nice countries except Canada I can run away to until this all blows over? I 40M can't use the paper shredder at work because my 2764F co-worker says paper doesn't belong in the paper shredder. Update 1. I get to work early, but the mean old lady is already there at the paper shredder wondering what the hell happened. She was angry as if someone dropped a house on her sister, kind of angry. She pointed her crimped finger at me and said, "Did you break it?" I replied with a high-pitched "No." The office has security cameras, so she convinced or threatened the security staff to show her yesterday tape. Sure enough, there I was shredding papers, breaking the paper shredder, struggling to fix the paper shredder, giving up and trying to cover up my paper crime. I have never seen someone get so mad before. I would tell you what she said, but it is way too vulgar. To sum it up, if she ever catches me breaking any office equipment again, she is going to pile drive me into the garbage compactor. To be honest, she may be over 2,000 years old, yet I think she could pile drive me harder than Bret Hart pile driving Yokozuna. I 40M can't use the paper shredder at work because my 2764F co-worker says paper doesn't belong in the paper shredder. Update 2. The junky papers keep piling on my desk and I need to get rid of it. I guess I could throw it out into the recycling. Where is the fun in that? Where is the satisfaction in just recycling papers? I like to go one step beyond at work and shred all papers and then recycle them. I must find a different working paper shredder somewhere in this whole building. I checked everywhere. I even went to the boiler room and asked janitor Freddy where he knows of any other paper shredders in this office. He told me HR office has a paper shredder. Shout out to Freddy for making my dreams come true. I wait until the HR office is clear and I sneak in with my bag full of junky papers that need to be shredded. Don't worry, I took my time and tried not to overwork the new shredder. When the shredder was full, I empty out the bag into a bigger bag. Big mistake. The bigger bag had a tiny hole that I did not notice. Now there is a trail of tiny pieces of paper going from the HR office to the downstairs garbage compactor. I can tell you it would have made Hansel and Gretel proud. I first tried to pick up all the shredded papers with my hands, but my back started to hurt after 5 minutes. Keep in mind I am 40. My new plan was to look for a broom, but janitor Freddy's closet was closed and locked, and I know he has gone home for the day. What a nightmare this end of a day has turned out to be. I now have to go home and pray that Freddy comes in and cleans the mess for me before the mean old lady comes into work. How do I get out of this now? Should I just stop using all paper shredders completely? I am considering buying some sort of EMP device and knock out the security camera feed. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I 40M can't use the paper shredder at work because my 2764F co-worker says paper doesn't belong in the paper shredder. Update 3. Today was off to a bad start. For starters, I woke up alive. I was 30 minutes late for work. Not because I woke up late, but because I find myself parked in the parking lot staring at my office building, dreading to go inside. You know, the same thing husbands do when they get home from work. I go inside and the Lord has answered my prayers. The tiny mess of papers was cleaned up. I thought for sure I was in the clear. Nope, the mean old lady comes to my desk and demands me to buy a new paper shredder. All because I was the one who broke it for doing what IT function in life was supposed to do. It's not like I was sticking a metal ruler inside of it or taking the machine out into the middle of a field and bashing it in with a baseball bat. All machines eventually breaks. Just like life finds a way, it is inevitable. I see this wench use the paper shredder and apparently to her I can't use it for the same reason she does. She is an office dictator and everything is hers. Newsflash, it isn't. She doesn't own the business, she doesn't pay for anything. 10 minutes of her yelling at my desk, she finally goes away. My boss enters the office space with his new big client. Let's call him Big Shot Bob. We are all on our best kiss ass behaviors. As Bob is walking around janitor, Freddy comes to my desk and drops a big bag of shredded papers on my desk. He says to me, "You know papers belong in the recycling and not in the garbage compactor." I apologize to Freddy. Suddenly my spidey sense tingle. I can hear the mean old lady shuffling towards my desk. Before she can even see and ask what Freddy and I are talking about, I open the window by my desk and throw the bag of shredded papers out my window. The mean old lady comes to my desk and asks what we are both talking about. I say nothing, just enjoying the breeze. She yells at us and tells us to go back to work, blah blah blah. The whole time she is bitching at me, imagining how nice it'd be if her heart exploded and she collapsed on the floor. When she stops moving, that is when I call 9-1-1 ... sigh. I looked outside my window, and there it is. 6 stories down is the bag of shredded papers. It exploded all over Big Shot Bob's red convertible Mustang with the top down. Everyone in the office is now away from the desk and glued looking out the window. Bob is flipping out and my boss is trying to comfort him and says he will find out who is responsible for this. I think we should all go back to my original plan and have me run away to a country until this all blows over. I'll even accept the island that Tom Hanks was stranded on in Castaway. I love all your suggestions on what to do, but to the few people that keep suggesting arson, no. Tempting, but still no. Follow for update 4. I 40M can't use the paper shredder at work because my 2764F co-worker says paper doesn't belong in the paper shredder. Update 4. Welcome to another chapter of my paper shredder chronicles. Oh god, that is something I never thought I'd write, but here we are. I have to say, from reading all the comments on this story and deem that I got, it feels like I went from being the protagonist to the antagonist in my own story. But I digress. Last night I went to a hardware store to pick up my very own handheld EMP electromagnetic pulse device. I did not know that was something that could buy at a hardware store. I wonder if my neighborhood sells plutonium at Ever Corner drugstore. I'll check later. Anywho, I tested the device at home. I knocked out the power to my whole house. When I turned back on the power to my house and I checked my desktop computer, I lost everything. All my Word documents, PC games, and my bookmark videos, *. Well, now I know the device will knock out the cameras at my work. I go into work with the EMP in my pants pocket. I am sure my swimmer will still be okay to swim later on down the road, right? Anyways, I go into the security office to set up the EMP. There he was, my boss, and Bob looking at the camera footage from yesterday. I start accepting my doom. Bob looks so angry. I try to pretend to not notice and I start looking at my phone. I am also looking up how much does a cemetery plot go for these days. Before I can put a final sale on my cemetery plot, I hear my boss say, "I am sorry, Bob, but your car is parked in the blind spot, so we'll never know how those shredded papers got on your car." Bob was fuming and I gave off the biggest sigh of relief. Bob and my boss thought I just peed myself. I must admit I checked myself just in case. Bob storms off with my boss and I go upstairs to my desk. The mean old lady is homesick and I notice our office has a new paper shredder. My coworkers are setting up the mean old lady's desk with balloons and a happy birthday banner. There was also a card being passed around. I signed it. I am not a monster. I just wrote happy birthday, see you next Tuesday. I have to ask, if I were to get the mean old lady a gift, what would I get her? Do I get her a box of spiders she can munch on during her break? Or do I look for an early 2027 calendar that only goes up until June, because I really don't think she will live to see 2028. But I say that every year is met with disappointment. The end. Like and follow for more.